I guess I should explain what's going on. I had to quit one of the antidepressants that I'm on cold turkey because it was giving me some really bad side effects, and now I'm going through the withdrawal symptoms. It looks like most of it has subsided, but I've had a pretty bad relapse in terms of my depression and anxiety, which is why I have not been uploading much. And then to top that off, I went to the convention, and I think for the first time in several years, I actually got sick after it. Now, I think I have a pretty good immune system. I do drink a lot of vitamin water and stuff like that. I don't get sick that often, so when I do get sick, I tend to panic, and that's kind of, going in tandem with the whole relapse that I'm having to begin with. So that's why I haven't been recording that much. Also, another big part of it is I've been coughing a lot and sniffing a lot, which it's pretty gross to hear, especially when you're watching a video like this. You're trying to learn about a video game. You don't want to hear someone coughing and hacking and sniffing and sneezing. So that's been kind of limiting me too. There's been a lot of stuff limiting me. The good news is it looks like things are starting to subside. I have an appointment with the doctor in 2 weeks, so that should give me a good time frame to know if if I've got something else wrong with me or if things will subside. Hopefully it's the latter. I'm going to go over the game a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of the systems, and then I'll show a little bit of a boss battle. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll say this right now. The boss battles are very polarizing in this game, at least for me. This game doesn't really have a large community. But the reason for that is they have like a metric ass ton of health, and there's not really a way to do lots of damage on them. It feels like they tried to balance it out between, how it is in most action games where it's just like you either totally destroy the boss in like seconds and they don't get a chance to attack, or they're huge HP sponges like God of War. This game is definitely leaning towards the opposite side of the spectrum. The bosses just have way too much health, considering how little damage you can do to them off a clean hit, which I think is kind of a problem. There are some really nice things about the boss battles in that they have unique ways to fight them and stuff like that. There's some nice scripted events which make it feel more authentic. You play boss battles in Tales games, they all start to feel the same after a while. They have some pretty interesting gimmicks, some ways that you can stop their attacks and stuff like that. They do a pretty good job of introducing new gameplay mechanics during the boss fights, which helps to kind of up the ante and make them more exciting too. It's just that they have far too much health. I feel like if you could combo on them for at least a few more seconds after landing a clean hit, then that would solve the problem. But the way it is now, it's just you hit them and you get a whole 2 seconds to wail on them, and it does 5% health. So I don't know how far I'm going to take this. The boss battles are way too far and long for my liking. But there's lots of cool features in this game. It's got a full gear system. You only have 2 party members in this game, so it's not super in-depth, but you have gear that you can equip and stuff like that. You have your Aurions, which are basically your movesets. You start out with this one, Honor. I just got the Anger one a couple bosses ago. From what I understand, you get these, and then later on you fuse these together, and you get more combinations. Now, the movesets are not too deep. It seems to be really based around switching your Aurions. You can have 4 on your palette at once. They're mapped to the D-pad. And you can switch them in real time as long as you have enough AP. So you can do combos with it and stuff like that. It's just like I said, I haven't really found much of a use for it on bosses yet. Oh, sorry. You also have a little minor progression system. It's not super deep. You get some nice things like being able to block while running and in the air and stuff like that. His wife gets new spells and the ability to combo the spells together, which is really nice because when you're playing as Enzo's the only playable character. You don't really have that many ranged options without using your AP, and you don't seem to be able to recover AP without using items. So the less you're spamming that, the better. You want to put most of the AP expenditure on her because, she's more expendable. She's not actually on the map when you're fighting. So I definitely want to unlock this at some point. So I'll go ahead and I'll show a little bit of a boss battle here. So you can see exactly what it is I'm talking about. Another thing about this game that a lot of people have pointed out, which is just kind of an unfortunate reality of the budget, is that the animations are very stiff. Like, they don't really have that much frames to them, which kind of goes against the really deep, really well-designed battle system for the most part. Usually in games like this, you play something like Third Strike is a good example of like the pinnacle of 2D animation. Like, you have way more frames of animation, so it goes hand in hand with the parrying mechanic. You have a lot more frames to see what's going on. Here, some of the animations are pretty stiff, so you can feel like sometimes you don't really have enough time to react. Also, I've heard some people say that the hitboxes are off. I haven't really experienced that much yet. I don't know how far I am into the game or not, but I've seen some people complaining about that as well. It's nothing that could be worked out with a patch, but I don't know what their post-launch plans are for this. So I'll probably do like a couple seconds of a boss battle so you guys can see exactly what it is I'm talking about. But, to be fair, like, balancing out a boss battle in any game with a combo system is probably the hardest part. I mean, obviously, I'm not a game designer, but just from the perspective of playing many of these games, like, you notice it's really hard to balance between, the player just being able to combo the boss to death and not having to move, and just having them be extremely boring to fight. And this game tried to strike a balance, but so far I haven't cared for it too much. Like, you see how little time I had to combo him, and how little damage it did. It's pretty cool. You get like a total Dragon Ball cutscene when you transform. Like, they tick out of combos way too often. I feel like that's like the only thing that's missing in this battle system. Considering this is like the first game that they've made, I think it's pretty impressive that they've pushed it as far as they have. But I feel like in a game like this with a combo system, you need to have like a really good, feeling of getting a good punish. Like, that's like the best part of these games, and I feel like it's kind of missing in this. Like, that's all you get pretty much. And you see how look at his health bar, like, it's barely moved. I've landed a couple decent combos on him, and it's like barely moving at all. So I don't think I'm gonna do much boss stuff on this unless they're willing to fix it. It just frustrates me. Let me see if I can land one more combo on him. If it'll even let me do that. This ice stayed out too long. Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and stop there. I like this game, it's just that the boss battles, I honestly don't enjoy them. They drag on for far too long. The sense of doing big damage just seems to be gone. And it's not like I've been avoiding fights either. Like, sometimes people say that stuff about games like the Tales series and stuff like that, but it usually ends up they're under-geared or under-leveled. Like, I have the best gear possible for this point in the game, and I've fought pretty much every battle because the random battles are fun, but the bosses just take way too long, and I hope that maybe they'll address it. Some of the ways I thought that they could fix it is maybe just increase the overall damage output that Enzo has, or at the very least, make it so that you can combo them for a little longer. It doesn't have to be excessive, you know, you can't really do infinites in this game anyway because of the AP and stamina meters. If you could combo them for a little longer, then at least that would mean that when you land a punish, it would feel satisfying because you could at least land a decent combo, have some decent damage off it. But the way it is now, like, the boss battles just drag on for a long time, and you can kind of see why. Like, when you finish a battle, there isn't any kind of item penalty in this. It's not like Tales games where you get like a grade, you know, deficit for using items. Like here, they encourage you to use items because you pretty much have to, and I feel like that's kind of backwards because you're going to run through so many AP and stamina items just because of how long the boss battles are. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm sorry I haven't been doing that much great content. I'm fighting through a lot right now. If you've been following my Twitter, you'll know more about it. I'm going to keep the details off here, but things have been rough. I hope that when I go to the doctor, I'll get a better idea of what's going on. At the very least, I'll get diagnosed for better or for worse, and we'll go from there. I'll keep you guys posted. Peace.